Okay, I just glanced over the new unit, and she seems extremely reso hungry. Her skills are very simple, but they can be extremely strong in PvP. Her S1 does 3 hits of 45% damage and then AP plus 15%. 15% of AP times 3, so that's gonna be 45. S2 also very simple, attacks one enemy 3 times 50% damage, and then the S3 is attacks all enemies 3 times, damage per hit is equals to 30% of attack, deals increased damage per Sun Glory stacks. Passive is Fatima gains Fighter's Resolve at the start of combat each time an enemy gains a buff. She gains 1% attack, 1% defense, and 1 speed up to 100 times. This part of a passive is not going to work like pretty much at all in Falsetto Fantasy, so I think we can rule her out to not be that good for Falsetto Fantasy, because Falsetto Fantasy bosses will not get buffs, right? This is mainly just for PvP. When Sun Glory stacks reach the limit, she instantly casts this ability and removes all stacks of Sun Glory. If a target's attack, defense, and speed is below hers, when she deals damage, she gains 1 stack of Sun Glory for each attribute below her own. Triggers once per turn. She is immune to control effects inflicted by enemies whose attack, defense, and speed are all below hers. So you need to have all 3 factors to meet before she is immune to control effects. She gets speed, crit rate, and attack. Her Divinate is after casting Cleansing, which is her S1. Fatima has a 100% chance of gaining 1 stack of Sun Glory. And her S3 goes up to 45% of attack, which is 135% of AoE damage. Resonance is R1, final damage on S3 plus 10%. R2, now the passive goes up to 2%. R4 is when this Esper's attack outside of their own turn, damage plus 15%. And lastly, R6, Golden Judgment, counter attack chance plus 5%, permanently up to 50%. It doesn't say how it's gonna stack up. Maybe this is based on the Sun Glory stacks that you get. Rival Runes is Warhammer with not that high attack. They give her attack bonus, and also speed. I want to see if she has all attack, defense, and speed higher than the enemy when I cast her S3. Is it gonna give me 3 stacks of Sun Glory or just 1? I'm gonna be attacking this guy right here. So I have 1 stack of no, I don't have any stack of Sun Glory. This Fighter's Resolve will get removed once I get 10 stacks of Sun Glory. Okay, so I'll get 3 stacks of Sun Glory if I have all 3 of the stats higher than the enemies. Oh, because the enemy buffed up, I got 4 stacks of Sun Glory. So she's gonna heavily counter buffing, because every single time that the enemy is buff, she will instantly gain 1 stack of Sun Glory for each buff the enemies get. Okay, it's pretty simple to understand. When she has all 3 of the stats higher than the enemies, she will gain 3 stacks, or if she has only 2 of the stats higher than the enemies, then she will only gain 2 stacks whenever she attacks. And then if the enemies buff up, according to the number of buffs the enemy gets, she will get 1 stack of Sun Glory per buff. Okay, let's check her damage real quick. I want to see her S3 damage without any Sun Glory stacks onto this Berserker right here. 4749. Okay, now with 10 stacks, the moment I use her S1 right here, I'm gonna gain 10 stacks. Now we'll take a look at the damage onto this guy right here. 7123. So it's roughly double damage. Per stack gives about 10% of damage, right? I think, because whenever I cast her S3, she instantly got 3 stacks of Sun Glory. Yeah, I think her Sun Glory stacks adds about 10% of damage per stack. So if you have 10 stacks of Sun Glory, she's gonna get double damage on her S3 multiplier, which means it goes from 135% to 270%. But yeah, that's about it. She kind of needs all of the resonance and all of the divinate that you can get on her, because again, the rival runes on her is not the best. She only has 2800 attack, which is lower than most fighters, but higher than supports and higher than defenders. So that's 1 stat that you will always get over support espers. And also speed is not the best as well, only 178 speed, which is also slower than most fighters. I'm probably gonna skip her, but if you want to summon, you probably need her to be at R2, because now you can stack up to 200% of attack and defense and also 200 speed. Once she gets to plus 200 speed, that's gonna be so nasty. It's not the easiest to get this stuff because if the enemies don't have a buff skill, then you will not gain any of this basic stats. Dude, Mavis is gonna get like bodied by her because every single time she takes a turn, she's gonna grunt all of her allies crit rate up for 1 turn. So every single time Mavis moves, she's gonna grunt Gilgamesh 5 stacks of the buff. Again, I'm probably gonna skip her, but she is very reso hungry. She's kind of like all of the other bruisers. If you can get her to R6, she's probably gonna be good. That's about it. Ciao.